Hey, plant taxonomists. We're here to talk about Ranunculaceae, in other words, the buttercup family today. This is a really cool family because it is a basal eudicot, so it's got some kind of primitive features. So we're going to see lots of free parts. Let's just jump right into it. Ranunculaceae, like you can see from this picture, they're usually kind of herbaceous. Those leaves are oftentimes deeply dissected or compound. Cute flowers, oftentimes really big, showy flowers. And I found this picture on the internet that I really liked. It sums up a lot of the important family traits. So they're, like I said, they're usually herbaceous. We're not going to have very many woody members of this family. We're going to see many stamens and many carpels. Both of those whorls will have entirely free parts. So many free stamens. Usually many carpels, but sometimes 3 or 5 carpels, but always free. We're always going to have an apocarpous gynoecium, as they say kind of down here. The placentation thing you don't have to know about, but it's cool. They have marginal placentation. Neat. Okay. The fruits are often follicles, sometimes achenes. Sometimes those achenes are winged. But since they're from an apocarpous gynoecium, those will always form aggregate fruits. So we're going to have aggregates of follicles or follicetums, aggregates of achenes or aconitums. Normal statements, I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Okay, and here are a couple of pictures of those fruits. So here are apocarpous clusters of follicles. And here there's only 3. You can kind of see that in this little cross section that the photographer has done here. And here's just another kind of representative of the family that you can find in kind of cool alpine environments. Again, those flowers are, you can see from this picture, they've got many stamens. And what you can see here, these are kind of the younger flowers. Up here, see up here the older members of this plant. These are the fruits, and we've got many, many fruits per gynoecium here from that apocarpous gynoecium. And in this case, we had many fruits. Here we just had 3. We've got a variation in fruit number per flower. Okay. Done. Next slide. Ranunculus. This is one of your 3 required genera. Ranunculus, you can tell from the name, it's the namesake of the family. It's called the buttercup family. Well, genus Ranunculus, it's called buttercup. If that makes you think of Princess Bride, more power to you. So what we can see in this picture, oftentimes they've got yellow flowers, not always, but what we can kind of see in the background here in buttercup is that they've got these leaves that are kind of ternately lobed. That word ternately, it implies of 3. So here we've got lobes of 3. In fact, even those lobes are 3-lobed. Interesting. All right, something else we can glean from this slide is that sometimes those lobes are actually so deep that they are truly compound leaves. So we have trifoliolate leaves in this genus as well as just ternately lobed. Remember, so you can see from this picture, those leaflets here, they do come to a fine point, and so we would consider those 3 separate leaflets, even though it's coming from one leaf. So a trifoliolate leaf, sometimes a simple lobe leaf, and here we have a very fancy one. Again, same genus. Now, Ranunculus, the buttercup genus, this is a pretty big genus. We see hundreds of species in this genus, and it's found nearly around the globe. Okay. Here's a closer up picture of the flower. So some of those nitty-gritty details you need to know about this genus. Well, they've got those 5 petals. You can see that from the picture. Kind of peeking behind those petals are their 5 sepals. So 5 sepals, 5 petals. We know already, because it's a family trait, they have many stamens. You can confirm that with this picture, many stamens, okay? And then the gynoecium here, right in the middle, these central green parts. Here we have many carpels. We already know it's a family trait that they're an apocarpous gynoecium, so here we have many unfused carpels. Cool. When you pick off a petal, so imagine you had just picked off one of these yellow petals here, and what you would see at the very base, it's kind of blocked by the stamens in this picture right now. What you would see at the very base is that little flap. It's like a little flap of tissue, and what you would notice is that it's very juicy. This is where nectar is produced. So their nectaries are in the form of a flap at the base of each of those 5 petals. Cool. Very cool. Here's just another picture, just to show you some diversity of the genus. Sometimes they have little orange tips. Sometimes they're white, entirely white. Like I said, this is a pretty big genus, but they're always going to have that 5, many, many floral formula. Oh, and of course, the other important part of their life cycle, the fruits. So that Apocarpus gynecium, it's going to become an aconitum. Each one of these little ovaries, say like right there, each one of those is a matured ovary, and it's an achene. But together, this whole thing, it's an aggregate of anachenes, which we call an aconitum. And these other ones, these are just kind of showing you other looks, different diversity in the genus. All right, now let's move on to your second required genus in the family. This is Aquilegia. Aquilegia is a lot of people's favorite flower. The common name for this one is columbine. And again, we see members of this species distributed widely, and definitely lots and lots of species in California. This is one of our native species here. So again, really beautiful showy flowers, just like in buttercup, but this time they're not always just kind of yellowish. We have actually a huge variety of colors in genus Aquilegia. Here's the red and the purple. You can tell from these two pictures that this is an herbaceous plant. You can kind of start to see those many stamens as we would expect. This is a very unique looking flower though. Up here, we have these fancy tubular structures, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Well, can you see how those are kind of just in this whole thing? That's actually one perianth whorl. It's the layer just inside of this. This is the outermost layer, these 5 things. So in other words, these 5 spreading structures are the sepals. And that means that these tubular structures are the petals. So we have spurs in each of the 5 petals. And yes, if you're thinking they're nectar spurs, you're totally right. These are nectar spurs. And the whole flower is held pendant like that, so pollinators would have to come up from the bottom. This would be their view. They come up, and they would be kind of probing their mouth parts into each one of those 5 tubular, double meaning there, petals. Here's just some more cool looks at different species in the genus. These are all, again, genus Columbine. Something else we can see from these slides is their leaves. Okay, so this is a closer up picture of one of these leaves. So actually what appear, you might think when you look at this picture at first that, oh, is this just a leaf? And it's got 3 leaflets, and like that's a leaf with 3 leaflets. Actually, no, that's a leaflet, what I just circled. What? So that's the primary leaflet. These are secondary leaflets. 1, 2, 3. That means actually the whole leaf here is this whole thing. What? So here's a picture. Somebody has picked off a single leaf. And what happens is first the leaf splits into 3. And then those 3 segments again split into 3 segments each. So we have a fancy name for this type of leaf architecture. It's called twice ternately compound. Ternately, again, that word, it means of 3s. So another way to say ternately compound, just once ternately compound, is trifoliolate. That's just another way to say it. This, in Aquilegia, we're not seeing trifoliolate. We're seeing something that is twice ternately compound. This is going to be found in all members of this genus. Every single species is found in this genus. Something else you'll see in all members of this genus is this fruit type. We have 5 follicles forming a follicetum. And in this picture, this is sort of step 1. This is right before each of those follicles have opened and dehisced. Right here, you can see this is a prime stage. They've just opened. They're filled with those black seeds inside. And then this is probably, last year's follicetum. So step 3. Cool. Moving on to our last required genus in Ranunculaceae. This is genus Delphinium. The common name for this is larkspur. Quick Instagram drop. My Instagram username is unexpected.larkspur. If you are interested in following me, I post lots of pictures of flowers, including this one. You could scroll through and you'll definitely see some pictures of Delphinium. This is one of my favorite genera in the world. Not my #1 favorite, but it's up there. Really spectacular indigo flowers in this picture. We'll see that there are some other color varieties, but what we can't see from this picture is their leaf shape. So these leaf segments down here, these are not coming to a fine enough point to consider them leaflets. Instead, they're just deeply, deeply lobed. And we can see that more clearly in this picture over here. These are its leaves. So they're palmately lobed. Okay. Delphinium has really spectacular looking flowers. Unlike Ranunculus and Aquilegia, who have radial symmetry, Delphinium clearly has bilateral symmetry, you can see from this picture. And, oh, here's another color variety. They do come in a few different colors. White, very uncommon, but sometimes white, red, sometimes lighter purple, dark blues, really spectacular shades of blue and purple. So what is going on with these flowers? Well, here we've kind of pulled we've pulled one flower off and made a diagram. These 5 things right here that are sort of acting like the showy petals are not the petals, actually. Those are the 5 sepals. The uppermost sepal right here is spurred. So everything that I just circled in purple there is the upper sepal. And what we've done in this diagram right here is we've kind of exploded this flower. And so here is that sepal that I just circled in purple right over here. So there's the tube. This is the nectar tube. This is housing the nectar. It's not producing the nectar, but it's housing the nectar. What's producing the nectar is these 2 petals. There's 4 total petals in Delphinium, and the upper 2 petals. So these 2 right here, 1, 2. All we can see from this picture on the right is just the part that's exposed. But really the rest of the petal, it goes down and it fits inside. Both of those petals, they fit inside of that upper sepal spur. It's a very kind of perfect fit. The petals are the nectaries. The petals are producing the nectar. The sepal is housing those nectary petals. Okay, so 4 petals. We had 5 sepals total. We already know from the family that we're going to have those many stamens. And then, oh, let me go back to the petal. Sorry. The other type of petal, I only kind of for the 2 petals. Those were the nectar secreting petals, these ones. The other type of petal is this one right here, and it's called a guard petal. You can see right here, they're guard petals, and they're guarding the stamens. It's really sweet. Here you can see in this picture now a kind of a side view, and in this one on the right, we've kind of pulled back those guard petals that are right there to expose those stamens that it's guarding. And here, this is sort of in its natural form. Those guard stamens are just protecting them. And maybe that's a way to keep the stamens from just releasing pollen to anybody. Instead, those pollen particles are going to be reserved for only those good quality pollinators who are able to access the nectar way back there in the nectar spur. It's a special relationship. This is just a picture of the delphinium that's growing right outside of our building, Science D, that we would have walked outside together to go see. And it's so sad that we're not doing that. I really miss you guys. And instead, I've taken this picture for you. It's going to start flowering soon, but right now we can just see those nice palmately lobed leaves. And here's my last slide. This is just the fruit type of delphinium. So just like in Aquilegia, we have follicles as our fruit type. But in Aquilegia, we had 5 follicles. In delphinium, we have only 3 follicles. That's the only difference. All right, see you next time. Bye.